I can't wait until Aunt Jane gets here, 10-year-old Violet Aldens said. Violet and her younger brother Benny, who was 6, waited by the window. They looked out onto the street for their grandfather's car. He would be bringing Aunt Jane from the airport any minute now. Aunt Jane was living in San Francisco for a few months, so she could be with Uncle Andy, who had to be there on business. She had called a week ago and talked a long time with Grandfather. Then she asked to speak to each of the Alden children. But when she spoke to them, she said, "I won't talk long now. I'm flying from San Francisco to Boston next week, and I'll see you then. I'll visit you in Greenfield for 2 days. I have a very special surprise for you." Since that telephone call, the children had spent a lot of time trying to guess what the surprise would be. Now the special day was here, and soon they'd know. As they waited, 12-year-old Jessie asked, "I wonder why Aunt Jane would fly all the way across the country to visit for just 2 days." "It must have something to do with the surprise," Violet said.
"Maybe the surprise will be cookies,"
Benny said. He rubbed his stomach.
"Last time, she brought some special chocolate chip cookies."
"Are you hungry again?"
Henry, who was 14 and the oldest of the children, asked.
"You just finished lunch."
Benny glanced at the clock in the hall and said,
"Lunch was at noon. It's 2 o'clock now."
"I suppose 2 is the time for chocolate chip cookies," Jessie teased.
"Any time is time for chocolate chip cookies,"
Benny answered. Henry and Jessie smiled at their younger brother. Benny was always hungry. Violet left the window and sat down at the table, where she picked up her colored pencils and began to draw. She said, "I'm going to keep busy until they get here. That way I won't be so impatient."
"I really am hungry now,"
Benny said.
"Let's go see if Mrs. McGregor has anything in the kitchen."
"There is an apple pie," Jessie said, "but it's for Aunt Jane's visit. We can't serve it until she gets here."
"I wish she would hurry,"
Benny sighed.
"Maybe you should find something to do," Henry said. "You need something to take your mind off waiting. You could become an artist like Violet."
The other children looked at Violet, who was working very hard on her drawing. Benny went over to his sister and asked,
"Is that Watch?"
"Yes," Violet said. "I've got the tail and legs right, but he moved so much that I couldn't quite make his head look right." "I think it looks like Watch," Jessie said. "It looks like a dog, all right," Violet agreed, "but I'm not certain it looks like Watch."
"Well, sure it does," Benny said. "And you've put our old house in the picture."
"Yes," Violet said. "I like to draw our old boxcar. It's easy because it has nice square corners, and it never moves." At one time, after their parents had died, the Alden children lived alone in a boxcar. Then their grandfather found them and brought them home to Greenfield to live with him. "Here they come," Jessie said. "There's Grandfather's car." Violet and Benny rushed to the door. Jessie and Henry followed behind them. They watched as Aunt Jane and Grandfather got out of the car. "She has just 1 suitcase," Jessie said. "I guess she really is staying only 2 days." Aunt Jane hugged all 4 children. Then she stepped back and said, "Let me look at you. Yes, you're all growing taller." Aunt Jane hugged everyone again. They all went into the living room, and Henry and Jessie served milk, tea, and pie. After a cup of tea, Aunt Jane said, "About that surprise I promised." Her eyes twinkled.
"Is it here?"
Benny asked. "Yes," Aunt Jane smiled and patted her purse. "In a way, you might say the surprise is here. On the other hand, you might say it's in San Francisco."
"What is it?"
Benny asked. "Can you guess?" Aunt Jane asked. "Your grandfather says you are very good detectives." "We are," Violet said. "But we can't guess how a surprise you brought us could be here and in San Francisco at the same time."
"What is it?"
Benny asked eagerly again.
"We've been waiting all week."
"You've been very patient," Aunt Jane said. She smiled and opened her purse. "Now, children, here is the special surprise." Aunt Jane pulled out a brown envelope.
"I don't think there's anything good to eat in that envelope,"
Benny said. Aunt Jane smiled at her youngest nephew and said, "You will like this surprise, Benny, and it includes good things to eat."